Hi, welcome to Good Intentions and Bad Outcomes, a podcast about challenges and practices that you might encounter in the workplace, where good intentions have unintended and often unnoticed consequences. I'm Gino.
And I'm Wayne.
Fantastic. Welcome, Wayne. Every time we share a situation where we or one of our listeners have seen in the workplace that is challenging in some way, we discuss the what and the why, and we try to come up with alternatives on the spot. So let's get started. I brought a topic for today. I In the past I've seen
Okay.
a situation where I've seen it multiple times, but I'm going to call out a specific example where the pipeline, the delivery pipeline that automatically picked up changes from the software or from the source code management system, built it, ran the automated unit tests and integration tests, or whatever tests they had that automatically ran, and then provided feedback back to the developers, essentially about the state of their build. And this particular organization or that team, their build actually, there were two steps. One was a compilation, and the other one was a test, and the tests consistently failed. So,
Right.
like 90% of the time, if not more, the tests were red, but the compilation was green. So, instead of really going back and trying to fix this entire thing, they said, like, we can deal with that. So, they introduced an amber state. And an amber state meant it compiles,
Ah,
but the tests don't run. Now, Wayne, tell me, what's the writing on the wall here?
well, I can see where this is going. I think I see what they're trying to do, but of course, the unintended consequence is staring me right in the face. You still don't have running code, and
Yeah,
it may look better than it is. So that would be the main problem that I could see.
I would even go further than that, right? So, what they want to do is they don't want to be blocked. Reality is, in their case, that they moved ahead and deployed this version anyway. And they blamed it on the fact that their tests were not stable, that uh, re- there were stability issues versus real quality issues. Now, my question, of course, is well, if you have stability issues, is that
Right.
not a quality issue? Whether it's quality of your code or quality of your tests, that I'm going to leave in the middle. That's depending on the situation. But regardless, the
Right.
feedback that they received, they didn't trust it. Now, if the feedback that you don't receive, that you receive, you do not trust, well, then there's no point in getting that feedback. Then make sure that you get feedback that you can trust. Now, what they had was they said, essentially, they did this and they said, let's strip all the tests because that's essentially what it came down to, right? Let's strip all
Yep.
the tests from our result. Let's consider Amber good enough and let's deploy whatever is actually building into an Amber state. Now, the unintended consequence that they had then was, of course, nobody paid attention to the failing tests anymore.
Sure.
And that's what you're getting. So instead of it staring you in the face and saying, oh man, this is annoying that this thing is red. Okay, we'll go deploy anyways because we believe that there's not a quality issue and the code runs and it does exactly what it needs to do. And it's just our tests that are failing. Um, if that is taken away and suddenly it's good enough to have an amber result or an amber state, then who's going to pay attention to actually fixing the test and
Yeah.
making sure that your delivery pipeline generates a result that you're all confident in, right? That
Yes.
says green on white, if you will, or
Yeah.
black on white, that this is absolutely a successful build that we can deploy that we have full confidence in. That's for me more important than just the idea of we might not be entirely confident, and that is that you're actually discouraging your teams from doing something about it.
Right.
So
Right. And of course, quality is the thing that gets sacrificed.
unfortunately, most of
Quality
the time,
gets
yeah.
sacrificed, and yeah. Yeah. And then what are you going to do about it? Then you have a poor quality product in the end, and you've got more problems than your system was designed to allow to pass by. I saw it. It reminds me of two things. One time I saw a team that made a distinction between a defect and a bug. And one of the reasons they did that was similar to the green amber light, was that defects were okay, but bugs needed to be fixed. And so when there was a problem reported and they put a bug in the backlog, it was one of those things that, well, we can deploy anyway, even if there are bugs, but we want to make sure we catch the defects. So the unintended consequence, well, the idea was that they were trying to get software out there, but the unintended consequence was there was still a whole bunch of quality issues that remained unattended.
Yeah, and I agree that it's the same thing. It's you're trying to hide real problems, and as a result, you're no longer paying attention to them, which is the unintended consequence. Now, I'm trying to figure out what the difference is between a defect and a bug. So I'm really curious as to what characteristics of those two were deciding on the fact whether it was a bug or a defect. So if you remember that, Wayne, you definitely have to explain that to me.
Yeah. There wasn't a whole lot of difference that I could see anyway. I think it was mostly semantic, but it reminds me of a second situation, and this isn't actually part of the build pipeline, but the process overall. I've seen lots of teams do this before, where they'll have a board, let's say a Scrum board or a Kanban board, and they'll have a done column. And for whatever reason, they can't get their piece of work right to the done column. So they might create a almost done column, or maybe they have a multi-layered definition of done level 1, done level 2, done level 3. And basically all they're doing is the same thing as adding an amber light in there. We got this far, but we couldn't get the rest of the way. The problem is, of course, that you need to get the rest of the way, and you're ignoring that need.
Yeah, exactly. So how can you, in this particular case, how should we address this? What should we do different? Do you have any suggestions? I definitely do, Wayne.
Well, the first thing that pops to mind, I'll throw one out there first. If you've got tests that are failing and they're giving you an inaccurate view of the state of your code, then of course you want to go back and fix the tests. And maybe the testing practice itself has become so convoluted that you've got a brittle test suite that's hard to maintain. It may need some work, but you basically want to fix the system that's alerting you to the problems, so that it really does alert you to problems.
Yeah, I would even go further. I'm a bit more confrontational when it comes to that. And I've actually advised the client to do exactly this. Get rid of your tests. Nobody is looking at them. Nobody is willing to invest to improve them. Get rid of them. Don't give yourself the false impression that you have tested code, because you do not, right? So get rid of that false impression. Deal with the fact, suck it up, deal with the fact that you don't have any tests. Don't run them, but make sure that you start building up a test suite that is stable and actually you listen to. If you don't listen to the results of your test, get rid of them. It's as simple as that, right? That would be my advice. And then you have green, keep it green.
It almost puts me in the mind of having documentation. We like to build up documentation because we think it tells us useful information, but if it's not maintained and it's not accurate, then bad documentation is even worse than no documentation. So you might as well just throw it away because it's useless. In fact, it's misleading.
That's right. Anyways, I mean, that's the advice that I would give specifically for this, unless you want to invest in making your tests green. But clearly, if that's what you wanted to do, you would have done it before, right? Anyways, let's make this a short one. Why not? Right. This is we don't always need to talk for 15 minutes. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation, however short it was. If you have a situation at work in the past or right now that you feel has unintended bad outcomes, please let us know. We might discuss it in one of our next sessions. So thank you again, Wayne, and looking forward to talk to you again.
Thanks,